Are you suggesting that someone's trying to make a real-life sequel?
Stab 2? Who'd want to do that? Sequels suck.
No, wow. Come on, man.
Oh, please. By definition alone, they're inferior films.
Bullshit generalization. Many sequels have surpassed their original.
Oh, yeah?
Name one.
I'll be back.
Freedom, you're my older brother, and I love you. But don't ever take sides with anyone against the family you live. Never.
I just can't believe you came here and did it again. You guys give up, or you're thirsty for more?
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, Duel of the Greats. You have found us. This is your one-stop shop for movie arguments. That's not true. I'm sure there's lots of them. But you know what? We like our podcast, and we're happy that you're here. If you haven't listened before, this is season 4 of Duel of the Greats. I'm battling a cat right now. My apologies. But we are here to talk about sequels and figure out what's better, an original or a sequel. This is episode 8. We've done 7 of these this season already. This week, we have some holiday fun coming for you. And if we time this right, this should be hitting, I believe, the Monday before Christmas. So hopefully you're feeling festive. Hopefully things are holly and jolly. And we're going to bring you Home Alone versus Home Alone 2. These are 2 great movies. I'm very curious to hear what our lawyers, our advocates have to say on this. We've got Jeff doing Home Alone. Welcome in. And Nate doing Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. And I don't think these movies need much introduction. Growing up as an 80s kid, 90s baby, these movies were just around all the time. And I still watch them every year around this time of year. You guys, we were talking beforehand, you guys do as well. Jeff, did you say you watch it maybe 5 times a year?
Yeah, that sounds right. So usually, like, when it's before Christmas time, like, for the point where it's like reasonably okay to celebrate, we'll still want to do a little bit of Christmas. And so the best way to do that is just a movie.
Yeah,
Home
just throw it
Alone.
on.
We can watch it with the family. The little one loves it. We'll do that, once or twice in the months leading up to true Christmas season, and then during Christmas season we'll probably throw it on. And then once Christmas is over, won't want the Christmas season to end, and so we'll throw it on again, something like that.
Makes
It's
sense.
it's a staple in the house for sure.
These are 2 movies that I have no recollection of not having seen them. So, I mean, the idea of
absolutely.
when did you first watch these movies? I have absolutely no idea.
I have no
I
idea.
want to say that I probably saw Home Alone 2 in theaters. I mean, that sounds right, but I truly have no recollection in my life of having not seen these movies. They have, to me, have
we were
always been
what?
part of my consciousness, and I've always known them to be movies that I've seen many times.
We were like, what, 4 or 5 when they came out? So
And right in our wheelhouse. I mean, Kevin McAllister is roughly our age. I mean, for boys our age, I mean, we were a demographic, and by God, they landed that punch hard. I mean, we were right in the wheelhouse. It's kind of like how we were like 11 to 13 years old when professional wrestling was at its absolute apex. It's like we were just we
just
were
made for
right
us.
in. Yes, it was like we were lucky. There was just some culture that came about, and the Home Alone films were one of them. Where it's like we're the exact age of this protagonist. These are wildly popular films, and I don't even remember a time when I hadn't seen them.
Well, I'm with you, and I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say about them. I don't know, despite how ubiquitous these movies have been in our lives and during the holiday seasons, I don't know that we've ever really talked about them that much. So this will be fun. I'd be remiss to not tell you guys how you can talk to us about these movies.
Steve is still battling the cat. The cat has
Yeah.
muted him.
Apologies.
See how long it. Okay, there we go.
And so he is remiss, and so
Yeah,
He is
we'll
very
wrap this
remiss.
up.
Sorry, we'll
The
trim
cat
this
is not a fan of the podcast. He doesn't like it.
But yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you how you can talk to us about these movies. You can email us at duelofthegreats@gmail.com. You can hit us on all the socials at Duel of the Greats, except TikTok, where we're at Duel Podcast. Jeff and Nate both love to chat with people on the social media. Guys, what are your handles?
I am at the Jeff Report, all one word. Jeff spelled Jeff on Instagram and Blue Sky.
And I am at Skate Carter on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads.
And I do not want to talk to you on social media, so I'm not going to tell you mine. But I do appreciate that you're listening. So, are you guys ready? Let's get this ho 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 holiday special on the roll. Jeff just gave me a look like that
You
was
tried.
dangerous.
You tried. I appreciate the effort.
I'm trying to get in the spirit here. So Jeff, Home Alone, take it away.
All right. For my first point, it'll be a quick one. Home Alone 1 is better because no future presidents are in that movie. I'm just kidding. We'll call that a bonus point. Wasn't my actual.
I'm gonna go ahead and just say Home Alone 1, so we can turn off the podcast. Thank you guys. I'll see you.
It's over. So one of the things that I think was that made the first one so charming that is still there in the second one, but to a lesser degree, is the fact that the idea of Kevin McAllister being home alone and having to sort of figure out to essentially be an adult, like he's doing laundry, he's going grocery shopping, things like that. Him having to figure out how to do all that, it sort of comes about in an organic, really charming way. And specifically thinking of the scene where Kevin goes in to buy toothbrush and says, "Oh, is this recommended by the American Dental Association?" Just like kind of silly stuff like that. But ultimately, the second one, it has to, since we saw that take place and come about in the first one, the second one then has to sort of up the ante, and we get all this stuff that just seems, it starts to border on the just kind of ridiculous territory where you start to think like no 10-year-old would act like this or would think like this. And he has the experience of the first one, so maybe a little bit you could argue it, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, I don't know about all this. And you know what? It doesn't feel true to the character, to the story, to the Home Alone universe. Second one, but it just kind of, it has to up the ante because of the first one, and so I think it then sort of it comes into more of a ridiculous territory. Now, it is able to sort of handle that well and still play it well because it's still a good movie. But I just think that the charm that the first one had because of him sort of trying to learn and figure out how to do all this stuff is sort of missing from the second one. So I think that's one of the main reasons why the first one is.
Counselor, rebuttal?
What I'm hearing is that the second one raises the stakes, and I don't disagree. Um, I love the first one. I don't disagree that the charm is certainly there, but I think the second one has plenty of charm on its own. So I'll discuss that when I get into my points. So I will allow the counselor to proceed.
You may proceed.
My second point will say that there's both movies have their own sort of faux antagonist, if you will, somebody who we think is going to be some sort of a foil to Kevin, who ends up befriending them, and they help him along in the story. First movie, the neighbor, shovel guy. the second movie. It's the Pigeon Lady. Um, Now in I think the first movie, Shovel Guy, the neighbor, I cannot remember his name, but uh,
Marley.
he
I had to look it up. It's Old Man Marley.
Old Man Marley, there it is. That character, I think, is superior to the Pigeon Lady, and I think he really sort of ties the movie together. You know, there's both heartfelt conversations between Kevin and the faux antagonist again in both movies, but the church scene where he talks about him being, his sort of estrangement from his own kids, grandkids, and his the way he helps out at the end, and then you finally get to see him have his kids come over and he's sort of reconciled with them. There is a journey as well for the Pigeon Lady. I think the Old Man Marley journey that we have is a superior one, and it's one that really sort of provides a nice little through line for the movie, where it's not only about Kevin overcoming his fears, but realizing that not only does he overcome his fears and he talks to Old Man Marley and befriends him, then learns that, essentially you can't judge a book by its cover, right? Because here's this really good person and he knows all the rumors about him and being a murderer and all that kind of stuff. And, takes Kevin under his wing a little bit, and they sort of have a nice little relationship, sort of a grandfather to grandchild type relationship, which is good. That I think, even though I still do like the interactions between Kevin and the Pigeon Lady in the second one, I don't think it quite measures up to the Old Man Marley Kevin relationship.
Care to comments on that, Nathan?
No comment. Counselor may proceed with his third point.
He's keeping his powder dry. This is going to be interesting.
All right. For my third and final point, in the first movie, there is the whole sequence where they're my wife and I kind of joke about this all the time, where they get to Paris, they realize Kevin's gone. Well, they realize it on the plane, but they get to Paris, Kevin's gone. They're trying to figure out how to get back, and the mom, Catherine O'Hara, in one of her many brilliant and iconic roles, she's desperately searching, trying to find a way to get back to Kevin, to get back to Chicago. She's bargaining with people, wanting tickets, all this sort of things, and she finally finds a way to get on a plane, at least to get back to America. And but it's just always like she's desperately doing this, and the dad's just like, "We'll see when you get home." Like, what the hell? Uh, we always joke about how the dad. So it is John Hurd as the dad, R.I.P. John Hurd, but he's fantastic. But it's just such a funny little juxtaposition. But um, when she does get back to America, but she's not in Chicago, she has to find a way to get back to Chicago. Um, and then John Candy and his character, who again I can't remember the name, but the Polka King of the Midwest, he comes in and he hears her sob story. He wants to help, and he and his bandmates take her in their van, and they shove off and head towards Chicago to help her get home, her kid. And it is sort of one of those things. And there's actually a documentary that just came out about John Candy that I keep meaning to watch yet, but it just really shows. And another R.I.P. John Candy. He's been dead for a long time, but it really shows that there was some more untapped greatness there. That, as great as John Candy was, that we would have probably seen had he lived longer. But just like, take this essentially sort of throwaway character of somebody just helping give her a ride, and you put it in John Candy's hands, and it becomes this just very tender relationship that he and Kevin's mom, as they go along and as they go back to Chicago. And it really sort of ushers out whole universe where it makes her feel, um, you know she still feels bad, of course, because she left Kevin, but he also finds a way to make her feel like, okay, this wasn't a failure so much as it was a mistake. And that's sort of good message there, and that she's doing everything that she can to right this mistake. And I think in the hands of a lesser actor, I think that role, that whole thing might have fallen flat a little bit. John Candy coming in, pulling that together, along with Catherine O'Hara bouncing off each other, just or playing off each other really well. I think really sort of that final third of the movie, it really sort of ties it all together, gives it that bigger emotional impact when she finally gets home, see Kevin again, because we sort of know, what's going through her head and how she's felt and the journey that she's taken emotionally. And there's nothing in the second movie that quite measures up to that. And obviously there's no John Candy in the second movie, and I really think that sort of B plot, if you will, to the movie really, it's a nice little through line for it emotionally, and gives that ending a bit more impact. And I think it's only one of the reasons that makes the first Home Alone superior.
Thank you, Counselor. Nate, any rebuttals on this one, or do you wish to proceed with your argument?
I'll proceed with my argument. My first point's a little bit of a rebuttal to that last point, so I'll just go ahead and proceed with my argument if it pleases the court.
It does please the court.
So, in the second film, one of the main reasons that Home Alone 2 is a superior film is the parents are just better characters. Um, and I'll talk about sort of the emotional arc of the mom character, but the parent characters are funnier in the second film. And one of the great bits is the when they're being questioned at the airport, and the TSA guy, or TSA wasn't around, but the police officer is like questioning them, and he goes, you know, has your son ever been left home alone? It's like, and she's kind of like shaking her head no, and he's like, well, actually, this has happened before. And then they both go, oddly enough, we never lose our luggage, and they both kind of like awkwardly laugh and then knock wood on the table. It's like one of the great, like, it's just such a funny little bit, and I love it
Sorry
so
to
much.
sorry to interrupt, but I just have to say, and this might even hurt my own argument, but just Catherine O'Hara, whether it's this movie or any other, has the greatest like fake awkward laugh, that type of scenario, of anybody in film history. It's amazing. You see it in like
It's
Beetlejuice, you see it in both the Home Alones, like all the movies she's in, she just nails it. Sorry, you brought that up and it made me think about it. And Catherine O'Hara's great.
Catherine O'Hara is a goddess who walks among us. There will be no, I don't think anyone here is going to disagree on that. She's brilliant in both of these films, and it's just magical. So I think the parents are better. I think that they are funnier. I think, honestly, a lot of the family is funnier. I feel like the family's a little more drawn out in the second film. Another one of the great quips is after at the very beginning of the film, the whole fiasco at the children's concert. They do these, they're supposed to do these apologies, and Buzz gives, of course, this stupid apology where he's totally being an Eddie Haskell and faking them all out. And Kevin blows up and says, you know what? And as he walks out of the room, his brother Buzz, just goes, "What a troubled young man." It's just like so funny. And again, like maybe having the benefit of knowing these characters a little bit better from the first film helps with that. But I just feel like the family is just more drawn out, and I really, really love it. I will also say about and I'm almost done with this first point. The emotional weight, I think, of the mother, it's stronger in the second film. I don't disagree that not having John Candy there, that it lacks a little bit. There's just this really terrific moment, a mother to son kind of thing, where she's looking for Kevin, just going around New York City looking for him. She's talking to a police officer, and she ends up kind of complimenting him, and she says, "Oh God, I don't know what I'd be so scared." But he goes, "Oh, but not Kevin. He's much stronger than me." And then she kind of has this realization. She goes, "Oh my God, I know where he is." It is the most motherly. I mean, I'm not doing it justice with my voice. It feels so authentic and real. I mean, there is I know that it's acting. I know that's the whole point of movies. There is not anyone that does not believe that that is not Kevin McAllister's mother realizing in that moment where her son is. And it fits so perfect thematically. And the script is so tight and so believable from the very beginning. One of the very opening scenes, she's saying, "Kevin, what's your obsession with Christmas trees?" and how it comes full circle, and it really shows how she knows her son. Part one has that a little bit, but I don't think it gives that realization of how well she knows her son and how that love really is translated into the knowledge about what her son cares about. So I just think the parents and the family is funnier and better, and there's a more of an emotional weight to them in the second film.
I think my rebuttal was already accounted for at my point where I said, I think that journey in the first movie is better. So just a reminder of that argument.
My second point is when you open up this world to New York City, there's a lot more supporting characters that are really fun. Mr. Duncan, I think, is a really fun character, but the best, and I mean, in weeks past we've talked about, well, in our Shrek episode, we talked about the inclusion of Puss in Boots in Shrek 2. Tim Curry in Home Alone 2, he's like the Puss in Boots of the Home Alone franchise. He completely makes this whole thing. There's one of the great sort of fade matches, transition matches, where it goes from the Grinch into Tim Curry, or maybe it's the other way around. It goes to Tim Curry, and he perfectly emulates the smile of the Grinch in the animated Grinch, and it just shows how great of an actor Tim Curry is. There's so many freaking funny moments with this hotel staff and again just the interplay with the mom's like, "What kind of idiots do you have working here?" And Tim Curry, "The finest in New York, ma'am." And just like the way he keeps trying to like the parents are like having this like bickering session, and he's like, "As you just said, madam, your son is lost in one of the biggest cities in the world." And Dad's like, "Can you please be quiet for a moment?" It's just and just wait. The boy had a very convincing story. There's so much to to this hotel staff. Tim Curry knows something's up. The way he sneaks in on the hotel room and he thinks he's walked in on the guy in the shower. There's just a million funny things. The scene where he fakes him out with the movie, which is kind of a lot of the I'll admit a lot of the gags get repeated from the first film. They kind of do a lot of the same things, but the when he fakes him out with the angels with dirtier souls or filthier souls, and you have been smooching with everybody, and he goes through and he finally names the guy Cliff, and the Cliff's like, "It's a lie!" Like they're like completely believing into this audio that this little boy has synced up in the other room. It's just I think that the hotel staff and this whole world of New York really opens it up, and it raises the stakes a little bit, but I just think it gives us this whole wealth of these other supporting characters. Whereas in the first one, really, at the end of the day, it's mostly Kevin alone in his house. And so you don't get as much of that depth from these supporting characters as you do in the second film.
Gasler.
I don't know that I have a huge rebuttal. I don't think that makes second film superior, but there are probably more additional characters. Sure, I will concede that point at least.
Finally. And I am appalled at my colleague and co host for not bringing this up. Why do we watch these movies? Why are these movies popular? Why are they still popular? The physical comedy and the physical gags of hurting these criminals is the crux of both of these movies. And I'm here to tell you that the gags, despite being, I will admit, a little bit more outlandish, the gags in the second film are so much better. The brick throwing scene that he keeps, but that's it, nobody throws bricks at me, and like he actually hasn't been hit by a single brick, it just keeps hitting the other guy. The whole thing where they're they're on the stair. Like I still, as an adult, laugh at it. They're on the stairs. Like, remember what happened last year with the paint cans? I'll get him, and they do the fake stair gag, and he goes, that's two. They start to go up, and Kevin throws this giant metal pipe at him, and it hits them, and then they fall down. They fall through a floor, and he goes, that's three. And then Kevin cuts he cuts the rope, and the thing falls down, and you just hear off screen. He goes, that's four. So funny. It has my favorite gag, and this entire thing, I still laugh at it. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world when I was a kid. It's still one of my favorite things in all movies. When he pushes the tool chest, and they both put their ears and like, what's that noise? What is that? They put the noise at them. He's like, there was the sound of a tool chest falling down the stairs, and they both crack their noses back into place. I think the gags in this thing are so much funnier, and there's funny gags in the first one. Don't get me wrong, but man, they up the ante on this thing, and it's like it's one of those things where okay, you know you're gonna make a sequel. You know the crux of the whole first film was like the physical comedy gags and the pratfalls and things like that. We got to go even higher and even better, and they do. Like they take it up so many notches, and it is so much funnier. And I just think that when I kind of recall myself as a child, I would think the second one was better because I just thought the gags were funnier. And the little one-liners when he finally comes to the front, Harry, I've reached the top, and then he just takes a step and like falls 3 floors down into the thing. The gags in this thing are just better. It raises the stakes. They're better. I admit they're a little bit more outlandish, but it just there's so many different like why would someone soak a rope in kerosene? It's just like and he lights the thing. It's so many funny moments that I still laugh at. They still get laughs. I'm 39 years old, and I still get laughs out of this thing. I sit there and watch it with my daughter, and we both just howl with laughter at this movie. And I think the gags are better. And I think that's the crux of these movies, and I think that's the most important thing.
I think to rebut that point, I think that sort of goes back to what I was saying with being the ante and becoming a little bit more ridiculous. Because even though, to your point, say Kevin was just in the first movie, it was just him in his house versus the whole city of New York. But that's where it makes it kind of like a little much. Or it's like, how is he getting into all these different places and all this stuff in New York City? And it's like, you can suspend disbelief because it's Home Alone. It's not supposed to be realistic, and it is funny. The gags are funny, um, and a lot of them are essentially reused from the first one with a little bit of a different play, like you said. The counting down of, oh, remember the paint cans last year, that sort of thing. That is so they do at least acknowledge they're kind of reusing them and sort of play off that a little bit. At the same time, it's they had to escalate it so much that it did border on ridiculous. Not only just like I mentioned in my point of Kevin navigates this world, but in a lot of the like using the entire New York City like he could. You could believe that okay, this kid has the home field advantage in the first one. He knows the house, he knows everything that's in the house, everything, all that sort of stuff. Then like how's he exploring? How's he learning all this stuff about New York and all that? It doesn't ring true.
All right. Thank you, both of you, for your arguments. One thing neither of you directly touched on that I would like to hear you talk about a little bit. These are Christmas movies, and we watch them over and over again around this time of year. Can you talk a little bit about how your movie uses the ideas of Christmas, the themes of Christmas, the or not the pageantry, but the trappings of Christmas, the colors, lights, etc. How your movie uses that better than the other one? What makes it a better Christmas movie?
I think for the first one, what makes it a better Christmas movie is the fact that it is just tied to the house because, you know, not everybody lives in New York, obviously. Not everybody has even been to New York. So a lot of the sort of Christmas traditions and things, you know, you see Rockefeller, the tree and everything on TV, and there is sort of an iconic nature to it, but it's still something that you see on TV for most people. Whereas the first movie is a little bit more relatable to the average person because it's just a home with a Christmas tree and Christmas lights and the auto timer of the Christmas lights being a sort of mini subplot that comes on, and then having the Christmas tree and sort of the fake Christmas parties and all that sort of thing is just that's a lot of thing that's something that's much easier to relate to and understand. And when we want a Christmas movie, want something that can sort of give us that sort of, you know, feeling that we can relate to, that we have a better grasp of. And I think the fact that it's a little bit more contained with the house, and it's something that everyone has a house that they've, you know, with Christmas decorations and all that that they've you know, they've likely grown up with and all that. I think it just makes it a little bit more Christmassy, a little bit more easy to get in that Christmas spirit for most people.
I won't deny that the first film is a Christmas film, but it's completely inconsequential to the plot. At the end of the day, it could take place at any time of the year. The second film, the plot hinges on the fact that it is around Christmas. The bad guys are robbing, Harry and Marv are robbing a toy store that they are specifically robbing on Christmas Eve. They're doing that on purpose. In the very beginning, the point of it being Christmas is something that is brought up. I already brought it up. The mom says to Kevin, what's your obsession with Christmas trees? Like, he doesn't like that they're going to Florida because there aren't going to be Christmas trees. The symbolism of Christmas, the physical symbols of Christmas are so much more integral. What's the reuniting point? The emotional moment of the movie when the mom reunites with the son. What's her realization? He loves Christmas trees. So she goes to Rockefeller Center to go to the Christmas tree. The fact that it is Christmas, the entire plot hinges on the fact that it is Christmas. First Home Alone is a great Christmas movie, but it could take place around the 4th of July. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when the McAllister family's going on vacation. They just happen to be doing it around Christmas. The second film, the symbolism of the Christmas tree is an integral part of the plot of the movie. I mean, if that doesn't make it a more important Christmas film and a more obvious Christmas film, I don't know what does.
All right. You guys have given me a lot to think about here. These are both great movies. And, oh man, this is a tough one. This is a very, very tough one. I'm gonna, admittedly, I'm stall for time here for a minute. I'm curious, do you guys have a favorite? Don't tell me what it is, but does one of these stick out to you guys particularly as one you like better?
I personally like them both equally. I don't have a favorite. I usually watch them back to back with my daughter, like not in a single sitting, but over the course of a few nights,
Yeah,
we'll watch them back to back.
that's the way to do it.
This is very similar to our last episode, Shrek and Shrek 2. Unless I'm forced to choose, I'm not really going to make a choice because
That's what I want to do.
no,
Can we just call it a
I don't
draw?
envy you, the judge. But yeah, I love them both. It's like they both have their great aspects and everything. So I don't envy your decision. It
All
is
right.
one that has to be made.
I think I'm ready. I think I'm going to make it. So, you both raised excellent points. I think I already said that verbatim, but I want to reiterate that. And it's not just because I'm stalling for time, though it may partially be because I'm stalling for time. It's really impossible to say. But I think there's two things that make the one that I'm choosing here stand out. And it is two things that were brought up in the arguments specifically that I think just barely nudge it over the top. Both movies use their supporting cast really well. Second one has a lot more, but I think the John Candy, the heart that he brings to the first movie, It's hard to top that. And I think that combined with the church scene where Marley, old man Marley, kind of lays out his life story to Kevin in the first one, and then Kevin telling him kind of the meaning of Christmas, and this is where I kind of disagree, Nate, that it could be any other time of year. Nobody gets that sentimental about the 4th of July and seeing their family. Maybe Thanksgiving, but still. I think though the John Candy and that church scene, which you mentioned both of those, Jeff, I think those are just enough to kind of push Home Alone 1 over the top. I love both of these, and nothing you said, Nate, is I disagree with, except slightly that little bit we just talked about it. But I think that's still able to be argued. It's just there's a coziness almost, and I think it is kind of just the nature of it being set in the house. That even though this house is under siege by the wet bandits, it does feel like I don't know, just a little bit more cozy, a little bit more comforting at Christmas time. So there you go. It's Home Alone 1.
Completely agree. Could not have been a better decision. The judge, benevolent leader and judge.
The first one did win pretty handily on both TikTok and Instagram. The public seemed to a tune of about 65-35 on both. So
Okay.
And
I mean, yeah, I think that there is a familiarity to the first one.
Yeah.
Eve, to your point, that it's more of a comfort movie. Not that the second one can't be that, but there's something about him protecting his home
Yes.
that feels a little more true. Rings a little more true.
He's a
uh,
fish out of water in the second one, and in the
Yeah.
it's
I didn't want to bring this up as part of the argument because I felt it bordered too close to rule number 1 of you can't say that the first is the best because it was the first. But we've talked a lot this season about iconic scenes, and the bathroom
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
screaming scene, when he puts
I
on
will
the
also-
aftershave, is one of the most iconic in film history. So,
I will also say I think a really important distinction, as I'm now arguing for First Home Alone, now that the decision has been made. um, a really crucial aspect that I think gets overlooked about the first Home Alone that is not present in the second one is there is an innocence to Kevin.
Mhm.
Kevin does not understand that his family has left without him. He believes that he has wished them out of existence.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He believes that he has made a Christmas wish and that they have
I
disappeared.
made my
And
family
then on Christmas,
disappear.
yeah, and then on their cars are still here. They didn't go to the airport, and he's got the little face. There in the second one, he understands he got on the wrong plane. He doesn't he knows that his family is somewhere. There's something really powerful about that sort of kind of that Christmas spirit, almost sort of a Christmas Carol-esque kind of
yeah.
um
And in
his
the
whole
second one,
family's
he's got
gone.
a mischievous nature in the second one. Sort of takes
Yeah.
away some of that innocence. To your point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's older. I mean, the character's older, so it's fair to to maybe do that. But there's something really important. I think there's a more important message about this little kid who wishes his family out of existence, and they actually disappear, and then he protects his home, and then at the end of it, he wants his family back, and he wishes his family back. I don't know. There's something that's a little bit more heartwarming and that again I do think rings a little bit more true to
Yeah, it's a story
maybe
of
the
redemption.
spirit of the redemptive arc. I love them both. I will say I do think the second one is funnier. I'm not I really do believe my argument that I think the gags
Yeah.
on the second one are a little bit
Like
funnier.
I said, I don't disagree
Um,
with any of the arguments you made.
The
It's
the countdown thing. It was hard for me to try and rebut that because that was a fantastic gag, and I also agree with even though I was rebutting it, the fact that because I think part of why Home Alone 1 rings a little bit more true is because Home Alone 2 does feel like a sort of cash grab rehash, but they
Yeah.
acknowledge it enough by making those references back to the first movie that they're able to sort of overcome that. Um, and that
The part of
is one of the key things that helps them sort of overcome we're just sort of redoing the original.
Kevin has set up like a seesaw lever outside of the toy store, and Marv, or no, Harry jumps on it first, and then Marv comes out and he tries to stop him. Marv jumps and flies into the air, smashes into this car, and he's like, "Harry, are you okay? God, that was incredible!" And as he's walking away, you hear Marv go, "Kind of turned my ankle on that board there." It's just like there's so many little like one-liners that are just so funny in the second one that just get me every time. I think the second one is funnier, but I think that in the spirit of family entertainment and to really kind of have the important message of family, the first one I think pretty clearly
And
wins.
and we hardly talked about Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern. Daniel Stern is amazing as a very physical comedic actor. He's very
Yeah.
gifted in that regard. But one of the things that's always so amazing about this movie, um, and there's very few actors who can do it as well. Joe Pesci, in fact, I mean, you go back and listen to the way we talk about Goodfellas, which he won an Oscar for, Raging Bull, or those movies where he is a dramatic actor in very taxing, very dark roles, and he nails it. And then you turn around and he's in Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2, these stick comedies, and then he fucking nails that too. Go and look at like Lethal Weapon 3, where he's this, motor mouth guy, and it's this guy, and he just nails it. Like the amount of actors that can be equally as good in heavy dramatic roles and then also heavy comedic roles is very few. Philip Seymour Hoffman was another one.
Yeah.
I think John C. Riley is another one. But it's just very rare that you get someone that has that ability to be equally at home in comedic dramatic roles, and it's just um it's truly amazing because he's hilarious in this movie, and you never feel like,
Even
oh, that's dramatic actor Joe Pesci playing a comedic role. No, he just feels
the,
right
the,
at home. Like if you
the
put,
smallest. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you put, even though Jack Nicholson has been in a few comedy movies, but if you put him in that type of role, you'd be like, this is Jack Nicholson playing. It wouldn't feel the same. But Joe Pesci just feels completely natural in that role, and it's amazing. There's no other word for
The smallest things of how good he is. Like completely trivial things. There's a moment in part two where he's reading like a newspaper and there's these pigeons. And just the way he goes, God, get out of here, like gets really annoyed by the pigeons and is hitting them with the newspaper. It's just like, and it draws a laugh. Like it's the most trivial thing, it has nothing to do with the movie. And it's so funny how he just completely embodies this like curmudgeon criminal guy that can't figure it out. It's just, God, it's so funny. They're both so good in both these movies.
I agree. They're classics for a reason.
I will again though. I'm not unhappy about losing this one. I think this could have gone either way, and I
Yeah.
would have proudly defended either movie here.
It's 2 weeks in a row where it's been a toss up essentially.
Yeah, yeah. I came out on the losing side on both, unfortunately, but particularly with Home Alone, I'm not too frustrated by it. And again, unlike some people, I don't want to point any fingers. I won't bitch and whine about it for a whole week and text people and say that it was rigged
And possibly
and
sabotage our shows. Who knows?
yeah, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Okay, I'm gonna accept that I gave the best argument for my client that I could, and the judge made their decision in both cases. So that's the way it happens, and I'm okay with that here on Duel of the Greats.
We'll see. We'll see what you
So,
say next week.
well, before we get into next week, did we talked about switching next week? Point of
to
we
to be more Christmassy,
Yeah. Want to do that?
let's do it.
Yes, to remind me what we are, and remind our listeners what we are switching to.
So
So go ahead, Steve.
you were gonna use your host voice on me. Jeff's got the experience hosting podcasts, but yeah, we were gonna do something we'll do later this season, but because this is coming out around Christmas and we want to keep the vibes going, we're gonna do another Christmas classic. This one is going up against a non-Christmas movie. We're gonna do National Lampoon's Vacation versus Christmas Vacation. The Griswold family. It's gonna be a fun time. Let's see who's doing what. Oh, Nate and Jeff
doing
again.
I was gonna say I've got it right here. I will be defending the original Vacation on their journey to Wally World,
All right.
and Jeff will be doing the only vacation film in which they do not leave home. They will stay home for
Everyone
Christmas
comes
vacation.
to them.
Everyone comes again. I mean, we won't burn content. Both total classics. I mean,
Yeah,
you know
it's- yeah.
that could go
Just
either way.
Stone
Yeah,
cold
just-
classics.
yeah.
In these.
Yep.
So if you're still feeling a little Christmassy next week, well, we're gonna have more for you. And if instead you just want to get the hell out of town and go to an amusement park, well, we got you covered there too. So
And we're not doing it this season, so we can talk about. We could have even kept the Christmas vibes going further if we would have done the original Batman and Batman Returns. Batman Returns is a Christmas.
it is.
We didn't think
Christmas
this
movie.
through. Dang it.
We might.
But-
I don't. Well, there could be another something.
If you want
Christmas
us, if you want
thing that
us to
pops
hit,
into your
if you
feed
want
as
us to
well.
hit that movie or those two movies, send it in. Maybe we'll add to an episode.
Yeah, let us know.
I'll throw another one: a Christmas movie versus a non-Christmas movie. Die Hard versus my TikTok followers know I am a huge stan for Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Oh my
I
god,
think it is
that's the series, 100%.
absolutely the best sequel. And so let us know if you want to maybe have us throw that one in, because I am a Die Hard with a Vengeance guy, and I will defend that movie all day.
I mean, Die Hard and Die Hard 2 are both Christmas movies.
Yeah,
I know
that's
people
true,
argue
but
about it,
Die
but
Hard
they-
2 isn't like clearly not as good. Die Hard with a Vengeance actually has some.
I mean,
there's some
similar to Vacation and Christmas Vacation, right? Because European Vacation is actually the second movie, and we're ignoring that because
Yes.
everybody else ignores it also. People probably don't even realize it
Yes.
exists. And there's a reason for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Well, if you're interested in talking to us, duelofthegreats@gmail.com. Duel of the Greats on all the socials. @Duel Podcast on TikTok. Pardon me. I'm sorry. And then Jeff and Nate are @The Jeff Report and @Skate Carter. And I guess Merry Christmas. We'll talk to you next week. Have a happy time.